Good evening, welcome to Thermomix. And tonight we are cooking with NKF, which is the National Kidney Foundation. Our host is the Principal Dietitian from Raffles Medical Group, Miss Bibi Chia. So thank you for tuning in tonight. We are cooking for a good cause. And we will donate $400 for every Thermomix TM6 that you order tonight. From now until 2359, we pledge $400 for every unit you order. And if you want to order, please ask the advisor who invited you to tonight's show to send you your personal order link. Right? And of course, if you're already an owner, you can also do your part by spreading awareness and help kidney patients who need our support. You can also make a direct donation to NKF using the link that we have pinned for this live show. My name is Dolly. I'm from Thermomix, and I welcome Miss Bibi Chia. Yep, here. She is our celebrity host. We have seen her quite frequently on 1FM radio show, and she always talks about the nutritional value of ingredients that we should eat to stay healthy, to eat well and live well. And tonight we are very, very pleased to have her here with us again. She is a Thermomix user, and she's been using Thermomix for several years. So welcome, Bibi, and I'll pass over to Bibi to take over the cooking show, and she will introduce to us, all the healthy ingredients we are using tonight. And what are the dishes we are cooking tonight?
So Dolly, thank you for the kind introduction, and hello to everybody, good evening. Today we're going to cook two very delicious meals. And one of them is one of my favorite dishes, POMFRET. We're going to steam it with healthful ingredients. And then the second dish we're going to make is a fish chestnut, cabbage roll.
Wow, sounds delicious.
It is. And of course, it's made easy. As you can see later, we will do the demonstration. A lot of it is made easy with the Thermomix machine.
And these dishes are, is it okay for kidney patients to eat them?
So these are, of course, suitable for healthy individuals. And I have pre-selected a lot of the healthier ingredients for renal patients as well. But throughout the session, I will also be giving everyone tips as to, maybe should we be using whole grain noodles, or should we be, using mushrooms? Those tips we will be sharing with everybody.
So basically these dishes are okay for everyone, but we can variate them.
That's right.
Wonderful. So I'll pass this on to Bibi, and please enjoy the show. And don't worry, we will share the recipes after the tutorial ends, okay, in a separate post, because we always get that question. All right, so thank you, Bibi.
Thank you. And yes, I have been using Thermomix for a couple of years now. It definitely makes healthy cooking a lot easier for me. Maybe I can just run through the ingredients that we're going to use today first, before I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So with this recipe, we're going to do a steamed POMFRET. Okay, with selected vegetables, in there I'm going to add a whole grain HOON, or whole grain rice vermicelli. Okay, I'm not sure if people have seen this before. The vermicelli, the color wise, looks a little bit light brown, and you can easily find this in local supermarkets. Okay. And together with that, I have some tofu. And this tofu, we will be steaming together with the fish, and together with some tomatoes, some salted plum or sour plum. So the original recipe calls for, say, salted vegetables, but we know that having too much sodium in our diet is not too helpful. So I have reduced the number of sour plums that are being used, but at the same time also switched out the salted vegetables with fresh vegetables. Okay. And over here I have some dried mushrooms. You know how when we steam fish, it does, give us a lot of flavors. The only downside about mushrooms is that it can be very high potassium. So potassium is great for healthy individuals, but if you are trying to reduce your potassium, or if your doctor or dietitian has suggested that you reduce your potassium intake, then mushrooms are not so good. Maybe just use a little bit for flavor, but not too much. Then over here, I have a second set of ingredients. And this is to make a fish and chestnut cabbage roll. So as you can see, I'm using cabbage in both dishes. Just a little bit of information about cabbage is that it is low in potassium. So it's great for, healthy cooking, but it's also a suitable vegetable for renal patients who are trying to control their potassium levels. And I'm using fresh fish over here. So instead of, buying fish paste that could be high in sodium, you can make your own fish paste in this machine as well. Okay, and I think the first thing I would like to do, although I'm going to make the fish first, because it takes a little bit of time to boil water, I am going to start by blanching the cabbage leaves. Let me just bring this over here so that everybody can see. Now, I'm using large leaves like that. Why? It's because I'm going to put the fish paste inside and roll it together, okay? And so keep them in whole pieces like that, and we're going to blanch it in the machine, strain it, and then set it aside to cool. So once it's cooled, it becomes easier to handle because you want to wrap the delicious, ingredients inside, and if it's too warm, it becomes hard to handle. Okay. So before that, what I'm going to do is just set this to the egg boiler. We're not going to boil eggs, but the egg boiler function just helps you cook without having the blade spinning. Okay, need to activate that. Great. So in here I have filled with about 1.5 to 2 liters of water, okay, and then set it to the egg function before we start blanching it. And it probably takes about, say, 2 minutes if the water is boiling. Just remember you have to set it to this function, or else you're going to have a smoothie, a cabbage smoothie, okay? All right, so I'm just going to pop this inside. I already have warm water in it. So we have prepared a couple of large leaves. Just going to carefully put them in there, okay? And part of it will be steaming as well, so, okay. Maybe this one we don't need. That close the lid, and then you want to turn this so that you get it boiling or blanching. So we're going to leave this aside for 2 minutes, okay? Just to make sure that the leaves are, the cabbage leaves are softened, but not overcooked, because we're going to steam them later on. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this side because, we're making 2 dishes at the same time. You could, actually we have tried in the studio to make this dish, both of them, in one Thermomix, using the aroma dish to steam both the fish and the cabbage roll together. So it is possible to make it all in one go. But because I'm in the studio today, I have the luxury of 2 machines. I am going to cook them separately. Okay, so over here, what I'm going to do is, maybe we'll start with the fish, and then I will marinate that first, put it aside, and then I'm going to fill the pot with some vegetables. And so you will see that while I'm boiling the vegetables, I'm also steaming the fish at the same time, okay? So over here is one of my favorite fishes, POMFRET. You can use, because I'm TEOCHEW, so I'm using POMFRET. You can use other fishes as well. And fish is rich in omega-3. It's low in saturated fat, so it is a healthier option. Okay, so but if you're vegetarian, what you can do is you can use in replace of fish, maybe you want to use a firm tofu. If you'd like to alter the recipe a little bit, you can use, instead of, you know, what seasoning we're going to use here, I'm going to explain a little bit later, is to use a different seasoning and you get a different dish altogether. Same thing with the vermicelli. You can choose to put HOON, okay, glass noodles, and then you get a different dish as well. Okay, so over here I have the POMFRET. It's already been gutted. Okay, maybe I can shift this away so everybody can see. And you will need to score the fish. The reason is because you can steam it in a shorter period of time. So when we score fish, you want to score at the thickest part of the fish. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're just going to give it a nice score, 2 lines, okay, 2 lines at the thickest part of the fish. And then we turn this baby around and score the other side. Okay. So we have this round metal dish that will fit nicely in the Aroma dish for us to steam the fish. Now, you can choose to rub the fish with a little bit of salt, but typically I would recommend people to reduce their sodium intake so that they can reduce their blood pressure. Okay. Very kindly, somebody has helped me, reminded me that the cabbage has been blanched. Okay, so 2 minutes, don't overcook them. They look okay, but we're just going to leave this in for a moment. We're just going to take a look at this first, okay? And if you like to, just tiny pinches of salt. But if you're trying to reduce your sodium intake, it would be best to leave without. Anyway, we're going to use a lot of aromatic vegetables to make the broth. There will be a lot of flavors anyway. Okay, so we're just going to take that little tiny pinch and then rub the fish with it. Okay, and then we're going to place this in the middle of the dish, if you can see. Okay, next we are going to take this tofu. So this is a entire block of tofu. It is 300 grams, but you may want to use only half of it depending on the size of your dish. But what we can do is use it for another steamed dish, you know. Okay, I'm just going to tilt out the water that's found inside the container. Please feel free to ask questions, post your questions in the comments, and then we will be able to answer your queries. Okay, so this is silken tofu. I'm going to use maybe 1/3 of a block. My dish is not that big. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over. Okay. So I have a little trick if you are not able to turn the tofu out successfully, is to give it a small snip with the scissors at the corner, and it will turn out perfectly and you will not have broken tofu. Okay, so over here is a very delicate tofu. I'm just going to take this up and then cut it and put it on the side of the fish. Little cubes like that. Okay, just going to carefully just place it around the fish. If you prefer to have more tofu, please feel free to add it in. Okay. Okay, something like that. Okay, and over here I have some tomatoes. You can choose to boil the tomatoes in the soup, or you can choose to steam it together with the fish. All right, so later on I can steam it, boil it together with the broth inside the Thermomix. And so over here what I'm going to do is just to garnish the fish with some ginger and some sliced chilli. To give it a little bit of color before we serve, we are going to add on some coriander. Okay, so this is already done, nicely plated. Did I miss out anything? No, I didn't. Okay, great. going to grab a serviette to clean my hands before we proceed. Okay. Oops, it's shutting down. Let's just make it wake up again. So in this Thermomix, what we're going to do is first make an aromatic garlic oil. So you know how if you have to mince them, you will have smelly fingers. So with this Thermomix, you can just dump it in and then it does the processing for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to put 3 cloves of peeled garlic inside and give it a 5-second spin at speed 5, and that should give you a very nice minced garlic. I'm going to add in some oil to make a garlic oil. Now, if you look at a lot of these TEOCHEW recipes, garlic oil is something that's added into almost everything. Okay, absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to pop that in, put on the lid. Okay, so we're going to put it in at 5 seconds at speed 5. Okay. So you have minced garlic in a very, very short period of time. I can show this to you. Just use a spatula, all right? You can take a look at this. I'm just going to scrape it down the side first because I'm going to put the oil in there to make garlic oil. So this aromatic oil, again, if you put it in this machine, there's not much, you know, splatter or smells, and so it just makes cooking a lot easier or cleaning a lot easier. Okay, done. I'm going to pop that back into the machine. Okay, and we're going to add some oil inside. Okay, let's put that aside. And we are going to saute it for about 10 minutes at 120 degrees. Let's take a look. Okay. So let's wait for this to be done. And what we're going to do is to take the cabbage out, okay? Just to save some time, I'm just going to take this and put aside first, if you don't mind, onto this part. Okay. Grab a pair of tongs, okay, because it's hot inside. We're just gonna carefully take out these leaves. Now, I have not overboiled them. As you can see, they're still, you know, intact, all right? So just gonna carefully take them out so that we can wrap the homemade fish paste inside these cabbage leaves. Okay. And then we're going to put this aside. So you can retain this water for the soup later on. Now, when you're trying to reduce the amount of potassium in your diet, at times we do recommend people to blanch their vegetables and at the same time discard the water, because a lot of the potassium will seep into the water, and then when you throw it out, you are reducing the amount of potassium in the broth. But today it's a healthier recipe that also which is also suitable for everybody, I'm going to retain this water for my broth on the other side, okay? So I reduce the cooking time, I don't have to reboil water again, okay? So I'm just going to take this later on and pop that aside. So maybe while we're waiting for the garlic oil to be ready, I would like to introduce the other ingredients down here for our cabbage roll. So I have water chestnut here that has been cubed, cut into little squares like that, okay? All right. And the reason is so that I give it a lot more texture when I add it in later on. So you get the fish, you know, where it's a paste, and then you get little sweet crunchy bits from the water chestnut. And over here I have whole chestnuts, which I am going to blend into the fish. So this, you'll be surprised, this whole chestnut over here was done or was peeled using this thing. Okay, so this is a peeler that you can fit inside the Thermomix. It will cause the chestnuts to tumble and then nicely peeled, okay? I am going to wrap inside the cabbage roll some mushrooms as well. If you'd like to add other things into it, please feel free. You know, you could also use instead of fish, you can use chicken and other sources of animal protein. And then this is a pepper, red and yellow pepper that I have sliced as well as lightly blanched. And this is used for garnishing. So it gives color to my dishes. Okay, all right. So later on, we're going to put this into the machine. And that will help me to blend the fish into a nice smooth paste and easy for wrapping. Okay, we are nearly done over here. Another couple more seconds, we will have a nice garlic oil. It smells absolutely delicious over here. Just garlic oil. Okay, so just be careful, it's hot. Okay, you're gonna set this aside, and I am going to pour it out into a dish like this over here and set it aside because this is going to be poured here for steaming. Okay. Okay. What you want to do is not wash this bowl. You don't have to, because I'm just going to put other vegetables inside and start boiling it, okay? All right. So we're going to place the boiling water that I have reserved into that bowl, okay? You can choose to pour, or you can just choose to switch over. I'm just going to gently pour this in there. Okay. And over here in this bowl, what we're going to do is to add in the vegetables, which is over here. Okay, we have cabbage and carrot. So if you'd like to add other vegetables, please feel free to do so. We're just going to add this into the bowl, and just remember it is hot in there. Okay. Together with 2 slices of ginger. Okay, we're not going to blend this, so it's just going to be swirling and boiling and steaming the fish that we're going to put on top. Okay, good. Oh, this is supposed to be for the fish? Okay, so you want to put this on top of the fish for steaming. And then you're going to pour this on top of this. Maybe, I think this is enough. Okay, I'm just going to clean down my hands. No, we're just going to make one. Yeah. We have prepared 2 fishes, but I think it's good to just make one for the demonstration. So I've added the vegetables in there. I'm going to slice some of the mushrooms. Okay, so this has been pre-soaked and rehydrated. I'm just going to slice that into this bowl over here. Okay, I'm just going to pop that inside here. Okay, did I miss out anything? Oh, very important. The plum. It's going to give it a lot of flavor. We're just going to add that inside the broth. I have on the side prepared some fish sauce. So if you like to reduce your sodium intake, you might want to omit this, but giving just a little bit just to give it flavor. Okay, and then we're going to put this aside. Just going to tidy this area a bit. Okay. So don't forget the garlic oil that we have pre-made. We're going to add that into the fish and then steam the fish, okay? So just going to give it a bit of flavor. Okay.
Maybe you may have to speak up. Instagram folks can't hear you.
Sorry?
You may have to speak up. The Instagram folks can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now, everybody? Please say yes. Okay. All right, where am I? Where am I? Okay. I have added the vegetables into the broth. I'm going to use my Velroma dish to steam the fish. Okay. So this comes like that. Okay. Before you do that, you want to remove this measuring cup, because then hot steam is going to come through here into the fish. Okay. You set this bihun aside first, because what we're going to do is wait till the fish is done and take the fish out. Then we're going to add the bihun in for about 3 minutes only. Okay, so we set this inside here. As you can see, the dish here fits nicely into here. So later on, when we take it out, it's going to be hot. You want to use something like this tongs to help you take the metal dish out. Okay, so how long are we going to put it in there for? We are going to steam this for 15 minutes at Velroma. Velroma speed 1. So Velroma basically is like the highest speed or the highest heat. So Velroma, which is the highest heat, and then we are going to do this, put it at speed 1. Do we do it at speed 1 or reverse speed 1?
Speed 1, reverse is 1 too, because we have veggies inside.
Yeah, anyway, it's a slow speed where it's just going to swirl everything together. Okay. So it's kind of amazing how we are boiling the broth at the bottom and steaming the fish at the top, okay? So we're just going to leave this here for 15 minutes while we're going to make the cabbage roll, okay? So I'm just going to empty this bowl. There's water inside, okay? I'm going to strain the water out from this chestnut because we wanted it to stay plump and not turn brown, so we have it soaked in water prior to the demonstration, but you're not going to add water into the chestnut, so I'm just going to strain that out. So in the bowl, I'm just going to take, because remember we were using the egg function to blanch the cabbage. I'm just going to take it home first so that we don't use the egg function. We need to blend this fish. So we're going to add this inside. Just get this spatula. We're going to add the chestnuts in there, these whole chestnuts. So this I will mix in just a little bit later. I'm just going to add this in. Okay, again, you got to flavor your food. You can choose to add just that tiny bit of salt. We're trying to reduce sodium. But if you feel like you want to reduce your salt intake, you can just use other seasoning to help you season your food. So we have some black pepper. And we're just going to put a tiny, tiny pinch of salt. Okay. So we're going to give it a blend with the cover on. Okay. So we're going to do it for 30 seconds at speed 9. Cannot? Ah, okay, okay. Oh, nice. Let me show this to you. This was done in about 15 seconds. And as you can see, you have freshly made fish paste at home. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape this down. Okay, and transfer it into a bowl, okay, so that I can mix the coarser chestnuts inside.
You still have the chopped ones.
Sorry?
You still have the chopped ones. You want to add in, stir manually.
Yeah, I'll just stir it manually, yeah. It's so pasty. This is so fun to make, you know. It's also fresh at the same time. Yeah. So this, do we need to knead this? I think it looks okay. This looks okay. I'm going to strain the water out from the chestnut. And mix this inside. So there is a kneading function on the Thermomix, but I think it's it looks okay. It looks like it's well combined. Huh? Ah, okay. So I guess if you're making fish balls, you might want to knead it to give it that springy texture, but I don't think this requires more kneading. Okay, it's boiling and steaming now. Okay, and this looks okay to me. Okay. I'm gonna put this aside, create some space. So don't forget, we're gonna steam this as well. Okay, so later on I'll need to put some water to get it boiling again. Okay. Should we steam on this or this? Just directly, yeah, maybe we steam on this, get a bit of a broth at the end. Okay. Where is the cabbage? Okay. If it helps, do wear plaid gloves so that you can handle it a little bit easier. Just gonna put this here first. Put on some gloves. Okay, cabbage. So if you find it difficult to wrap it nicely or roll it together, you might want to trim off the ends so that it can roll better. There are also techniques to, you know, soften this part. You can use a rolling pin to roll it so that it softens this part of the cabbage. But if you like to just to trim it off, you can do that as well. So depending on which part of the cabbage, maybe the outer leaves may be a little bit tougher than the inner leaves, okay? Okay, so this is done. Okay. So I have 3 assistants today. You should say you don't see them, okay? It's like magic. All right, so over here, nice fish paste. What we're gonna do is just take this into a little portion like this, okay? I always say, you know, when you're first wrapping your first, whether it's cold rolls or spring rolls or popiah, right, it's not to be too greedy, you know. Put a little bit of filling in there, not too much to start with, so that it's easier for you to wrap, and as you go, you can always try and adjust how much you want to put inside. Okay, and then I'm going to put in one of these slices of mushroom, and we're going to start rolling. Okay, just going to roll and try and keep the leaves, fold the leaves inside so that it comes out as a nice parcel like this, okay? Right, and then this is the dish that we are going to steam with, and we're just going to put it here neatly, okay? Tuck the sides in and then roll it. So you will notice that the larger leaves, you are able to put a little bit more of the filling inside versus the smaller ones. Okay. Same thing, I'm just going to trim off the firmer parts. Now don't waste these, right? Okay, so they are still good to eat. You can then pop them back into the soup or something like that so that we don't waste food. Again, I'm going to spoon. Some fish paste, freshly made, okay, into a shape like that. And then we're going to roll it in with a slice of mushrooms. Okay, we're going to roll that in. Fold the outer sides of the leaves to the center. Okay, tug it nicely, and then continue rolling it over till it forms a nice parcel like that. Okay, so I'm going to make another 2 more, so we have 4 to show everybody. And I think by then, my broth should be ready. Create some space. Roll it up like that. Okay. Oops, forgot the mushroom. I think this might be bigger than this because it's a larger leaf, and then we put more filling in there. But what you can do is if you want them to be all equal size, then you might want to trim the leaves a little bit more so that you get an equal size dumpling. So this recipe could probably make about more than 8 dumplings, but today for the demonstration we're just going to make 4 of them. Okay. Just going to do the same. You want to roll this over and fold it over just like that. Okay. Very nice. So we have 4 cabbage rolls ready for steaming. Okay, I'm just going to put this aside first so that I can get the water boiling and then steam these delicious cabbage rolls. I have slices of capsicum, yellow and red, so we are going to use this for garnishing later on. Okay, let's get the bowl in. Yeah. Awesome, thank you very much. Okay, so in there we have hot water, but what you can do is also set the Thermomix into the kettle function, and it will help you boil the water, right? But because this is a demonstration, you know, we want to, you know, speed things up a little bit. And so it's already nice and hot inside. I need to take another Belroma bowl to steam this. I think they're over there. Yeah. So just to let you guys know that, as you can see, this is the upper tray. I could actually steam this together if I want to. And so you don't need to. I just have the luxury of having 2 today. Okay, we're gonna put this cabbage roll on top. Okay, just remember the water is hot inside. Okay, and how long do we steam this for? 10 minutes. So same thing, we're going to set this to, oopsie, to 10 minutes. I'm just gonna get some space here so that you can see my monitor here. I'm gonna put 10 minutes, yeah. Okay, add the aroma, and then speed 1. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna leave this aside for 10 minutes. So this is done, okay? I'm going to shift some things aside so that I get a bit more space. So that you can also all see how it looks like inside. Okay, so we have a nice big plate. Yeah, I'm going to take the fish out onto here, and then we're going to blanch the noodles, okay? Okay, it looks great. Because it's hot, use your tongs. Okay. So just to let everybody see this first, I am going to transfer this into this plate. Don't throw this away yet. I am going to add the vermicelli inside. It's still a little bit hot to handle, so I'm just going to leave this here first. I'm going to remove the steamer. It smells great inside. Okay, so we're gonna pop the brown rice bihun or the brown rice vermicelli into the broth. So I'm cooking like soup, noodles, fish all at the same time. Okay, and what we're gonna do is to cook it at reverse for 3 minutes. So for those of you who don't know about this reverse function, it's that the blade is going in a reverse cycle so it doesn't cut up the vegetables and the noodles inside. Put it at the aroma still, and then press this little button over here and it turns green, and that is your reverse function. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to transfer this into the plate so that we can then serve the noodles, and on top of that I am going to put the fish. Okay, so this is still a little bit hot to handle. Maybe what I can do is to cut up some coriander and spring onion because you want to garnish it, right? Okay, so we're just going to get a cutting board. Is there another cutting board? A cutting board? Thank you. And a clean knife, if you have one. It's behind me? Or maybe it's in one of the drawers. Ah. There you go. So this has been rinsed. Okay, we have coriander, and then we have spring onion. I'm just going to cut it up so that we can garnish it. If you prefer to cut them smaller, you can. I'm just going to keep them in long strips like that and put them on top after it's done. Then this is a coriander leaves. I'm just going to give it a rough chop so that we get large leaves like that. And don't throw this away, okay? So the ends of the coriander root has a lot of flavor. So when you cook with aromatic vegetables, you can also, impart flavors, but at the same time not use too much salt. So this part a lot of people don't throw. We use that to make a nice broth. So I'm just going to reserve that and put it aside. Okay. Yeah. So this is done in, thank you. So this is done in about 15 seconds now. And then what we're gonna do is to transfer the noodles to the bottom of this plate. And then I am going to serve the fish on top of the noodles. It's not too hot to handle. Looks great. I'm going to show it to everyone. Not sure if you can see, but definitely when I pour it out, you'll see how delicious it looks. Okay, so this is not so hot. Let me just take this aside first. Now that you're seeing how it looks like. Okay. Going to take this and carefully pour the broth and the noodles and the vegetables into this large dish. As you can see, this could also, be served like a one-pot healthy family dish. Okay, so I'm just going to put this aside first. Wonderful. It's not too hot to handle. So I'm going to serve the fish onto the dish. So I'm just going to, because tofu is soft, right? So you want to just carefully put the tofu around first, and then the fish in the middle. Looks great. Just going to turn this around for everybody to see. And final bits, you want to give it a nice sprinkle of coriander, spring onion, and there you go. Almost like something that you order in a banquet, right? I'm going to put this aside. This looks so yummy. Now, my cabbage rolls are also nearly done. In about 1.5 minutes, I am going to clear this so that we have a tidy table. Okay. All right. This way. Thank you. Okay. So you can see this is live, and I've made this under 30 minutes. I think it's super easy, yet delicious, and it looks wonderful. And we were also having a chat just now about how, you know, maybe this dish you can verify it with konjac noodles if you're conscious about how much carbohydrate you're eating. You could also serve it with a side of brown rice, or if you like to, you can switch the noodles out into mung bean noodles, which is HOON. And these days you could also find really nice sweet potato noodles, like Korean noodles, and you have a different dish altogether. Okay, so this is done, and oops, I need my tongs. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to take this dish out so that everybody can see how it looks like. Over here, very nice. It's okay. All right. So we can also choose to reserve some of the broth to make that into a sauce. But today I'm just going to serve it just like that. 4 delicious cabbage rolls. And then we are going to garnish it with some sliced peppers. Just going to tilt them sideways so they look extra pretty. Okay, and then you can use your tongs or your hands to give it a bit of a color using this vegetables that we have prepared. There you go. Looking really nice. Okay, maybe this. All right. So there you go. We have 2 very pretty, very delicious, and also very healthy dishes that is prepared in the Thermomix in a very short period of time. I have done blanching, frying garlic oil. What else? I have been mincing, steaming, boiling. So all the functions that is available on the Thermomix. I'm going to invite Dolly back. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Much for making. Wow, we can't wait to eat this. And remember, if you want to order your Thermomix TM6, just ask your advisor for your personal order link. All right. And if you would like to make a direct donation, please click the link that we shared earlier. We'll be sharing it later together with the recipes again. Thank you, Bibi. They look so delicious and they smell awesome. I like this one particularly. The colors are so pretty.
Thank you so much. And I have so much fun here this evening cooking for everybody. And yes, the 4 of us. There's actually 4 of us here.
Plus one more auntie outside.
We're going to eat this.
Yeah, so do try the recipes and let us know how it goes. And any questions you can continue to ask. You know, Bibi is still here for the next few minutes while we eat this. So you can still ask and we'll try to answer them, and we'll share the recipes shortly. All right?
Thank you
so
everybody.
much. Have a great evening. And remember to support NKF and Thermomix. And thank you, Bibi.
Thank you so much.